My name is Anthony McIntyre, aka Ant, and you're watching Supervised Release. My name is Anthony McIntyre. Everybody calls me Ant. Originally from a little small town in southern Georgia called Midway, where I was raised. Was born in Savannah, Georgia. Down where I live is a very small area, not much going on, at least on the surface anyway. I was raised in a single parent home, you know what I'm saying, with just my mother. I had my stepfather in there as well. He was a pretty standoffish guy. We didn't have a great relationship, but he was pretty much the breadwinner. He took care of everything from a financial standpoint. Down where I'm at, my grandfather was the major male figure in my life. We had, it was like a farm type area down there. We had chickens and, hogs and whatnot, and we would get in there and, I'd work the fields and learn how to get my hands dirty at an early age. So work ethic was real valuable to us down there. And I got two sisters. For the most part, it was just a bunch of women around me as I was raised. Where we had a nightclub. We had one of the only nightclubs in the whole surrounding area. I guess that's where I got my first taste of street life, if you will, because at that time, drugs was real rampant. When I say at that time, I guess when I grew up and got to about the age of 12, 13 or whatnot is when I really got off into street life, if you will. It was real interesting to me. Mainly because I was able to see all of the things that the guys who were hustling was able to do with the proceeds from said hustling. That was real interesting to me. My grandfather was there, but he was a real quiet dude. My stepfather was there, but he pretty much, like I said, he took care of the bills, and so far as personal contact, we didn't have a lot of it. So my examples for what to be was the guys in the streets. I found that to be, what was happening, to be honest with you. And in my area down, you have individuals who would basically scout for people who they felt were qualified to be involved in the group. It wasn't, again, like I say, it was a secret society. It wasn't known by everybody. You didn't see none of the colors and the stars and people throwing up gang signs and forks or whatnot. It wasn't none of that. It was almost the same as individuals who are in these fraternities they basically go out and recruit individuals who they see as being qualified and who elevate the status of the group. So I had a couple of individuals reached out to me. I don't know what it is they thought they saw, but they reached out to me and they actually came and invited me to participate. Mainly because I didn't have any male figures in my life at the time. I thought, I'm honored. You want me to be a part of this group. And at the time, I knew nothing about the group because, again, it was invisible. But once they explained everything to me, of course I was willing to participate. I'm young, impressionable. Everything they putting out there was about order, structure, discipline, camaraderie. It was a brotherhood. Pretty much everything I was missing. And for that, I sort of dedicated my life to it. The group that I joined, at the time they were called Gangster Disciples. Of course, now there's been a transformation and there's no longer Gangster Disciples. Bugs me out when I still hear guys calling themselves Gangster Disciples. It's a crazy thing. We members of growth and development, but I guess those that know, those that won't will continue. But I started, when I elevated from transport and I went from that to, running back and forth from Midway to Chicago, meeting up with certain people. Taking care of certain things. I was able to do that on account of the name I made for myself at a very early age. I was being sent for to come back and forth to headquarters, which is Chicago. Quite regularly, at least once or twice a month, I would shoot up there to take care of certain business. And I thought that was also quite interesting because I felt like everything I was doing was designed to add layers to my resume, if you will. I had aspirations of getting to the top. I don't know if that's something to aspire to, but at the time, the leadership of this organization, the old man, Larry Hoover, that is, to me, this is blasphemy to say so now. But at the time, that man was like Jesus, Well, I guess that's the other thing that's connected to, in high school, when I graduated high school, I had my own plans of what I wanted to do after high school, but the guys, they told me, you're going to go into the Navy, because what they did was their aim was to place the guys and the girls in different aspects, different areas of the world. So we wanted people in the military, we wanted people in law enforcement, we wanted people that was teachers and bankers and worked at your local Walmart or whatever. We wanted people there so that once they got into these areas, whatever they learned in those areas, they would be able to bring back to the group and it would benefit the whole. So I went into the military, I enlisted in the Navy. When I enlisted in the Navy, it took me to Great Lakes, which is what took me to Illinois. Great Lakes is in Illinois, right outside of Chicago. And I went to boot camp and left boot camp and went to engineering school. And while there in engineering school, I'm right outside of Chicago, I met certain people in the area. Once I got out of the Navy, which was in 1993, I went back to Illinois as a result of someone telling me that they thought it would be a good idea. One of those wink, wink, nod, nod type of things, because suggestions are really directives when they come from certain people. So I went back to Illinois and I basically started following the teachings, and the teachings told me that what's mandatory that we do is to give back to our community. So in that area, what I noticed was, first of all, I was under a false impression. I was under impression, being from Georgia, that individuals who were closer to Chicago were sort of superior to us Southern boys. I got up there and realized that nothing could be further from the truth. What I saw was individuals who just happened to be closer connected to product. They were closer connected to guns. It was a different culture. But a different culture didn't mean that the people were better. They had different experiences, that's all. One of the biggest differences between the guys down south and the guys up north at the time was the focus on education. So what I noticed was, academically, I was superior to most people around me. And what I also noticed was I had more patience than most people around me that was up in Chicago. First time I started laying my eyes on, cocaine in a big scale. When I say big scale for me, I started out when I was hustling. And I started out selling 8 balls or whatnot. I got 2.5 ounces and thought I was balling, But I started doing that and shooting down in Miami. Now I'm seeing 5-10 bricks that I'm bringing back. That was the big league as far as what I thought, especially for somebody 12, 13 years old. But at any rate, I was able to, start the process of G'd in the way I thought it should happen, which was I was doing my growth and development. And in the process of that, I caught the attention of some people. I was doing a lot of community work. There was this one nonprofit organization in the area called PST, Positive Systematic Transformation. They came and talked to me about some of the things I was doing in the community, which was I would go through, and where there were graffiti all over the walls, I would get it off, or grass and trash all over the place. I would get the guys together and we would go and clean it up, just basic stuff. But it was basic to me, it wasn't basic to them. Nobody else was doing it, so it was a big deal. In the process of that, PST, Tom Harris, who was the executive director, came and talked to me, and he asked me to help him with this program. There was another organization called Youth Build. Today is Youth Build America, and they were looking for funding. He wanted to set up a chapter in Waukegan. So he asked me to go to Boston, which I did, to help them get the funding. We got the funding. But in the process of that, he asked me, was I familiar with a group called 21st Century Revolt? I can laugh about this now. I thought he was talking about Century 21, the real estate company. And he's like, no, I'm not talking about them. So he explained to me who he was speaking about, and he said this was Larry Hoover's political group. I was offended that a civilian would be attempting to talk to me about Mr. Hoover, but he calmed me down after a minute, and before long he made the introduction, strangely, to 21st Century Revolt, and the executive director of 21st Century Revolt was Tom Harris. They got identical names. So of course, I thought this guy was playing with me, right? Until he made a phone call, and I went to Chicago, took a few guys with me. Remember the name Edgar Bridges. Took a few guys with me, including Edgar. We went to 21st Century Revolt, which was at 79th and Langley, out east in Chicago. And I met the old man's wife, Miss Wendy Jenkins. And this is my first taste of 21st Century Revolt. Powerful experience. Met a few other people within the leadership of the organization. Those people that if Larry was Jesus, these would be parts of the 12 disciples. And I met those individuals and I was fascinated. I'm 21 at the time. I'm 21 and I'm what the streets would call nigger rich. I could touch $100, $200, $300,000 at any point in time and it would mean nothing to me. I'm sitting here with 100 guys that would do whatever I want them to do. Got political contacts all over the place. I'm 21, but I'm like a kid looking at Santa Claus as I look at these people. I grew up down here in Midway, Georgia, where I heard stories about all of these people my whole life. And now I'm next to them. I don't know many people can really relate to what that feels like, but it was powerful for me. This particular night, I was having a meeting up in Kenosha, Wisconsin, the state of Wisconsin, where I was the senior guy for the state for all of my guys. I was having a meeting with like 300 or 400 dudes, and my pager went off. That tells you how long ago this was. We had pagers. My pager went off telling me to come to Hervey, which is where this took place at, Hervey Avenue in North Chicago, Illinois. And for some odd reason, I just knew that something was wrong. So I went back and grabbed some of my guys, and we took about 10 carloads of dudes, and we went up there to research and find out what was going on. Well, research is the wrong word, to investigate and find out what was going on. And when we got there, the doors to my apartment were kicked in. Hell, the doors weren't even there. Now, mind you, on my apartment, I had an alarm that when triggered, went straight to the North Chicago Police Department. But this happened hours ago. Nobody called me. We went into the apartment, everything was gone. Everything was gone. On the 14 and 1500 block of Hervey, I owned a few of the buildings and I managed the rest of them. So all of these people in these units are my tenants. Everybody knows me. All of my vehicles are known because they all were white. I walked the blocks, everybody knew me. There's no way that my apartment was robbed without everybody knowing who did it. So I went door to door to all my tenants who were in the area, and I said, who did it? Well, they told me who did it. Okay. Everybody said the same thing. Every apartment I went into had something from my apartment. Each person who had my belongings told me that this individual who robbed my apartment came outside and sold everything as if it was a rummage sale. And each one of my tenants purchased something from my unit. My aim, as a result of what this individual did with the assistance of the people who were with him, quite honestly, I was going to put 2 bullets in both his knees because I felt like he was moving too much. He was too loose, couldn't be still, but I loved him, so I couldn't kill him. But I was going to cripple him. I was going to make sure he lived in a wheelchair the rest of his life. 2 hollow points in the kneecaps, ain't no putting that back together, I knew it. So my aim was to go to the next block where he lived, and that's what I was getting ready to do. When I get down there, before I can even get to his apartment, I had security with me, and I'm driving my car. My security, who's in charge of my security, he's on the passenger side, and there's another guy in the back seat. I got another vehicle on the other side, about 8 of us. We driving through the alley and we see 3 guys getting out of a car, but it's dark and I can't see them. So I turn my bright lights on. It doesn't illuminate where they are. It illuminated the alley. They were parked over on the side. So when bright lights went off, they started to run. Who are y'all and why are you running? So I speed up a little bit to get next to him, and when I did, the idiot next to me started shooting. Startled me a little bit because we have protocols in place that says you don't shoot from my vehicle unless you're being shot at. Sometimes in the heat of battle, you don't really know what's going on. So I was thinking to myself, maybe we got shot at and they was shooting something small like a little 22 or something. I didn't hear it, but he did. So I sped away naturally, getting away from whatever's going on. By this time, he had reloaded the gun. Well, hey man, what happened? He says he thought that these were the individuals who robbed my apartment. So when he said that he thought that those were the individuals who robbed the apartment, my next question was we being shot at? He said no. So I snatched the gun from him that he had in his hand that he had already reloaded, and I threw it on the floor. You're an idiot. So let me get this out of your hand before you do something else crazy. So I shoot back up to Kenosha where he's from. And he was in charge of a particular area in Kenosha called the Ghetto. And he had an assistant, and I pulled up on his assistant and I asked him, is this the position of authority that he had was called a regent. I said, is this your regent? Of course he said yes. I said, no he's not. He said, he's a bitch. Take him in there down in the basement. You put his ass on that wall and you beat him head to toe. No cover up. You do that till his ass bleed. And he under arrest. So what that meant was he couldn't leave. I left there, went to a hotel where I had some females and I relieved some stress. A couple hours passed, I went back to North Chicago. Didn't see anything wrong, didn't see any yellow tape or whatnot. K9 unit pulled up behind me. Officer Darcy Brown, someone I knew very well. She pulled up behind me, I thought it was a normal call, so I got out of my car to go see what she wanted till I seen that her service weapon pulled on me. So I get back in my car, and by this time here come 50 or so. That might be an exaggeration. Here come a whole bunch of police cars and whatnot. And they arrested me, and I get to the police station. They tell me Edgar Bridges was killed. Remember, I told you to remember that name. Edgar Bridges, who I took with me to Chicago to meet with family. My protege. One of the smartest cats in the area. A whiz. I couldn't no more hurt Edgar than I could hurt myself. Out of everybody I could have taken with me, I took him. But this is who they say is dead as a result of me. So when they said that, I'm an old school kind of guy. I told them that was the end of any conversation between us. Here's my lawyer's number. I gave him a card. That was the end of the conversation. So I get to the county jail. It's time to bond out. Got $1 million bond. I tell one of my guys, go get the 100 racks. He went to work. 7 hours passed. He come to bond me out. By this time, the prosecutor requested that I be no bonded. So I missed my beat. All because he didn't come immediately and bond me out. One of the 3 people who was being shot at, one died, Edgar Bridges, Kwame Taylor, and Jason Bird. Well, Kwame Taylor, from the time I was arrested, maybe 2 weeks passed, he gets arrested for a drug charge. He's facing 15 years in prison. Prior to the drug charge, I spoke with him. He's like, look, man, now mind you, the reason I had to speak with him is because I got my discovery. And in my discovery, I have all of the witness statements against me. He got a statement saying that he saw me do the shooting. Bald-faced lie. But because he was so afraid of that individual who actually robbed my apartment, he felt it was in his best interest to go ahead and do what that person supposedly wanted him to do, which was get me off the street by any means necessary. So he made a statement. But I talked to him. He was like, man, I'm not coming to court, man. I'm trying to get this money. As soon as I get this money, I'm going to leave town. So I'm like, well, if that's what you want to do. The guy got down from a half a brick in a motel, got down to his last 2 or 3 ounces, and got busted. They arrested him, brought him to the county jail. He was going to be bonded out, but they told him, no, you're not going to bond out until you testify against me. So he did. The deal he made was, you won't go to prison. You won't be facing this 15 years. Not only will we wipe the 15 years away, but we're going to relocate you. We're going to send you to Nevada where your family is. So he took that deal. He got on the witness stand and he told all types of lies. Everybody knew they were lies. If you go back and read the transcripts of my case, you'll see he even confessed to doing about 8 lies. But it didn't matter. The cops had their man. They wanted me off the street. I was too much of a threat. I'd never seen somebody like me before. Too strong, and I'm too young. More than that, I'm too loyal to Larry Hoover. The man could have told me to do almost anything. If he said it, I was going to do it. So I went to trial and Kwame testified against me. Another female testified that I was this person in the community insofar as I was a gang leader or whatever. So they got motive, means, and opportunity. When I was arrested, remember I told you, I took the gun from the boy and I threw it on the floor of my car. So they got the motive, which they got from this female who said that, Tanisha Page, who said that I came to her apartment and I said I was going to kill whoever had my belongings. Connect the dots here. Tanisha's brother was arrested and was also facing time. He also, as a result of her testifying against me, got his time wiped away, miraculously. They had means because they found a weapon in my car. And they had opportunity because when I was arrested, I was right around the corner from the shooting. So I was convicted. I received 37 years. 37 years. I was facing 20 to 60. I had all kind of people come and testify on my behalf, from aldermen to local business leaders to whoever. One alderman, Alderman Betty Thomas, who later became mayor of North Chicago, said that I had done more for North Chicago in 2 months than the entire police department had in 5 years. Powerful statement. So I was sentenced to 37 years. I was convicted on that day, sentenced a couple of months later to 37 years. And from there, I went to the big house, Statesville. At that time, the Illinois Department of Corrections was owned and operated by street organizations. Mr. Hoover was not in the system at that time, but we still had these penitentiaries. My first day in population, as many guns, as many shootings, as many situations as I've seen in the streets, it ain't nothing like seeing a knife go inside some guys. My first day in population, there is a guy. He didn't get hit that many times, but he got hit in a nice spot. They hit him in that artery in his leg and he just bled out right there. That ain't a welcome to prison moment for you. I don't know what is. That was scary. I had no problem with admitting that. It shook me. Because the rules in prison are different than the rules in the world. There ain't no telling and letting the police protect you. You gotta act like you don't see nothing. Because you can't go to PC, which most people probably can do today. Protective custody didn't mean anything. We own the prisons. So therefore, if you go to PC, you might as well go next door. Send somebody to go holler at you, man. So that was my first experience with the business in prison. As the days go by, I started to see that it's just as much drugs in here as it is in the world. My mind was blown by the fact that it's guns in here. Sex is rampant. Those that know somebody, you have all the sex you want. And I'm talking about with chicks. Whether it be officers or counselors, teachers, or yet alone the females you can have come to the visiting room, so it's normal. I mean, there were days in there where staff members would come and ask some of us for change. Blew me. My first 3 years in prison, I hadn't accepted my time. My time was kicking my ass. And one of the first things I was told when I got my time was, do it, don't let it do you. I didn't know what in the fuck they was talking about, to be honest with you. But I learned, because my first 2-3 years, I knew, because I was innocent of the crime to which I was convicted. I knew I got one of the best lawyers in the state, Jed Stone. The truth don't come free. I'm going home. So until I accepted the fact that I was actually going to do 18 and a half years, I was expecting to go home every day, which made my bit miserable, which made me angry at everybody, which meant that individuals who came close to getting in my way, I was willing to address them aggressively. I didn't feel like I had anything to lose. When you accept reality in your mind, life becomes easier. That's why you have individuals who are broke and poor and don't have anything, but they're happier than people that's billionaires. Because in their mind, they've accepted, I'm good. So once I accepted that, everything was peaceful. I started setting up businesses from the joint, off of the money that I made doing things. I was able to take care of my kids. I was comfortable in that. I wasn't one of them dudes who had to call to the streets and be like, man, can you send me 50 bucks? I was good. I was sending guys money in different institutions. So I did my time. So I was released July 8th, 2013. Long time coming. They put me in the world and they put a dog collar on me on my ankle called electronic monitoring. That was cool though, because a lot of people expected me to come home, and in their mind I was coming home to fix all of the garbage that had been going on in the streets. If they didn't put the electronic monitoring on my ankle, 7 times out of 10, I'd have felt like it was my duty to come out here and fix things. So I'm glad that they put that ankle monitor on me. That electronic monitoring stops you from going too far too fast. That's what it did for me. You come home and you got dudes that didn't do shit for you while you was incarcerated, and your mind go blank, you forget. They come to you and they put something in your face and you run for it, as if they didn't just say fuck you your whole bit. But because they're in your face right now and they put something at you, you take it. It wouldn't have been as easy to do it if you was on that band. Why? Where you gonna put it? It gave me a chance to calm down, get with my daughter, who's my life, be patient. And at the point when I was ready to do whatever I wanted to do, I had seen enough. When I left the street, man, they had brick phones. Are you kidding me? I'm sitting here now looking at these phones, man. And people won't admit this. These phones, they computers in my palm. I don't know how to work a computer. What am I gonna do with this phone? But I figured it out. I'm still figuring it out. I was home 1 year, July 8th of this year. Just over a year I've been home right now. And during that time, man, I'm doing pretty well for myself. I've established a nice business. It's doing pretty well. Heavily involved in the community again. I'm following them same teachings of Mr. Hoover. But at the same time, if I can be so honest, I'm a member of a church in Waukegan called Christian Faith Fellowship Ministries of Waukegan. My pastors are Pastor Willie and Kathy Moulton. My spiritual father and mother. Can't think of nothing I wouldn't do for them. Great leader is both of them. Mainly Pastor Willie. And we're doing quite a bit in the community. I'm gonna continue to do that. You got to come home from behind these walls, man. You got to find something to lock in on. For me, it's not only my daughter, but it's my church. But guess what? I don't profess to be no super Christian. I work with the imams. I will work with the Jews. I will work with Buddhists. It doesn't make a difference, because religion is just one of them things that people use to divide. I'm trying to bring people together. So if you're a politician, I could care less if you're a Democrat, Republican, Independent. It don't make a difference to me. What's your agenda? You trying to help my people? I'm gonna strive, man, to do everything that I possibly can to stop individuals from being crabs in a bucket, dividing one another, or allowing people to divide us by way of you GDs, you Vice Lords, you Bloods, you Crip. You from out south, you from up north. Listen, Chicago ain't shit in comparison to Atlanta. New York ain't shit compared to Los Angeles. We all got the same problems, and the solutions ain't gonna be too much different either. What I'm gonna suggest that every last one of y'all do who can hear my voice is realize we're gonna do a whole lot more together than we ever could do apart. Y'all need to stop letting people get in your heads, man. I know drugs is rampant out here in the form of the ecstasy and the Molly, syrup, whatever the fuck this stuff is. I don't know. I know y'all mind might be clouded. But you got cats out here shooting each other over girls. Somebody stepped on your shoe. Get y'all ass in school, man. Get in school, get you some education. Get with your guys, man. But look, let me tell y'all something. I ask this question all the time. Make sure that when y'all are saying certain things to people, ensure that the words that y'all are using got universal meanings, or that you at very least make sure that that person defines it the same. You say this your brother. You might want to ask him what in the fuck that means when you say brother. You say you love this person. Maybe your love is my infatuation. Maybe your love is you cool. I done got sort of into this Facebook thing. So I put a post out there a little while ago where I was saying y'all need to make sure that when you say something to somebody that they mean the same. So what I'm gonna say to y'all as I close, I'm one of them dudes, man, who I came from nothing to what the streets would call rich. Went to prison. I did 19 straight calendars. I didn't go back and forth to prison. I went 19 straight. It was hard in there. When I say it was hard, it's because it's people in there, man, that they wasn't as fortunate as I was. They didn't have nobody sitting or nothing. People, mamas died while they was in prison. You know, girlfriends broke bad on them. They man who was they celly just the other day done went home and done snuck his information from up under him out his mailbox and done went and got up with his girl. This is the type of shit the guys got to deal with in there. And then he turn right around and he don't have nothing in his box to eat, but he gonna see your square ass going to the commissary every week coming back like Santa Claus. How you think he feel? Them the kind of people you got to deal with. They desperate, they thirsty, they hurt. That ain't a safe environment because they don't have anything to lose. Then Illinois got the nerves to come out with this truth and sentencing where they coming out with 100%. But you got a dude that do a crime that gets him 30 years. He got to do 30 calendars. He 20. He don't have nothing to lose, man. Those are the people you in there with. You guys talk all this shit, man, about how much of a gangster you is. I don't know what the definition you have of gangster is. We'll see when you get in there. Because all the girl come up out of you in that environment. So I'm going to suggest that y'all stay in the world. You're going to stay in the world, get your shit together. Because that environment, it ain't for everybody. And today, it's worse. It's worse. These people got these joints back. And as a result of that, you're going to do what you told. Y'all out here fighting each other, get in there. When the cops tell you to do something, you're going to do it. Somebody out here tell you to go clean your bedroom, you're going to kill it. Get tough with the people you need to get tough with, but don't put yourself in that situation. If you're going to call the people around you your brothers, be a brother. If not, stop playing. I'm Anthony McIntyre, aka Ant, and you're watching Supervised Release.